Are we live?
Yeah, this is your show.
We're live, guys. We're here. Look, that's just a tradition, okay? No, what you can do it, but I can't.
This is like, why are you asking if your show is live? Why you're doing the intro and then
Right, literally does the same thing for Fiesta Watch. Anyways, this is Around the Hoot. I'm your illustrious.
Are we live?
Best host.
I don't think we're live. We said
with the most. Wyatt Donegan. Here with Noah.
Are you live?
Wait, what's the order? Oh, I'm in the bottom. Okay, so
here
with
no, he's putting a second. Shut up. I'm second.
Then, hi. Travis over here, Noah down here at the bottom with me, and yeah. So
do I not get a shout out?
I mean, I figured like your thing is on the screen. We'll shout out at the end. No point in doing our like name handles twice. But yeah, so we're here with another edition. Couple things to get out the way before we get started. Number one, Travis, I believe that there's something that you need to say to me. There we go. Yep.
No, that's not a perfect segue.
So in case you guys forgot, me and Travis made a Lord bet on the London-Dallas game. I went for London. Travis went for his heart and soul, the Dallas Fuel, and Dallas lost. And now we're here. And then, as I'm sure you guys all know, XQC, the player for the Dallas Fuel, was suspended for the entirety of Stage 1, for the rest of Stage 1, for some less than savory remarks that he made about Houston Outlaws player Muma on his stream. It's been done and talked to death. It happened. They're there. And we'll get into Dallas's issues later on once we get into our rankings. And then before we get to those rankings, also Overwatch League, they have made an update to the maps. No, they have not changed the pool of maps, so we still will be seeing the same like 5 maps for the rest of Stage 1,
baby.
But they at least flipped the order. So instead of having Escort or usually Junkertown first, that will now be last. So we'll go Hybrid, Assault, Control, Escort. So that way games will not end on a tie, because it's kind of awkward when a series, especially like a series like Seoul, Dallas, Dallas, Spitfire, when it just ends in a tie, it just feels kind of weird. So yeah, that's been changed, and those are our kind of around the Hoot news items.
Around the Hoot.
And so let's get right into these power rankings. So as always, I'll go through. If you guys have not read them, they're up on egamernews.com/Overwatch. They're right there at the top. If you haven't read them, just going to run through the list, and then we can talk about kind of our reasoning behind these. So coming in number 1 with no change. Number 1 and 2 were no change this week. Seoul Dynasty stuck with the top spot. London Spitfire are a close second right there.
They're stuck with the top spot.
They're stuck up there. They're stuck up there. And then coming in at number 3, moving up 1 spot, was the New York Excelsior, Christian's boys. I know he's happy about that. And then falling 1 spot was the Los Angeles Valiant. Still top 4, still pretty good. But definitely Excelsior showed up this week. And then our biggest mover of the week, Houston Outlaws, which I think Noah had a bit of an issue with, moving from position 9 after week 1 all the way up to position 5 now. So getting close to that top upper echelon of competition there. And then we've got at number 6, the Los Angeles Gladiators moved up 2 spots from 8. Philly moved down 1 spot from 6 to 7. And then the Dallas Fuel, our second highest mover, all the way from 5 down.
The second biggest mover.
Second biggest.
Dropped it. Yeah.
Yeah, they dropped the opposite direction. Dropped 3 spots to number 8. The Shock actually improved from 11 to 9. Maybe they're not as bad as we thought they were. Boston Uprising dropped from 7 to 10. Yikes. And then Mayhem dropped from 10 to 11. And Shehan Dragons sitting right there at the bottom at number 12. Feels bad, man, for those guys.
Hey, they're fine. They're getting paid.
They're getting paid.
They're getting paid.
But yeah, so I think we'd be remiss if we didn't start with the fuel. I know we started with the fuel last week as well.
I wanted to complain about Houston.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right.
But I think it's still a pertinent thing to talk about as to what in the hell is going on with this Dallas Fuel team. XQC is the least of their worries when it comes to in-game play. So I don't know, whoever wants to take the wheel to start off, just what's going on with this team? Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which, I mean,
so are you saying it's XQC's fault that Dallas didn't take a map against Los Angeles in week 1, or against Houston in week 2? Let's be clear here. Like, we can talk about XQC to where Dallas blew in the face, but like there are tangible problems we can see in game, right? Let's focus. Okay. All right. Let me ask you this then: which which roster that Dallas Fuel have fielded have looked the best in Overwatch League thus far? Bang, there it is. I think XQC and Seagull and Custa to an extent. I don't know necessarily how well they're gelling with the team. Maybe there are some issues there. We don't know. But I think the main issue right now comes from a combination of the main NV roster not playing together. And this is the roster that, wins everything. This is the roster that won NA contenders, that smashed FaZe Clan in the finals 4-0. And it's also kind of a rough meta right now. Effects can't get on his Tracer, which he's so famous for. And Timey was their best Roadhog, and Roadhog's strong right now, so he's being shunted onto a more of an off-tank role. More so than that, though, I don't know how well the Dallas frontline is playing, because you always see the supports getting picked off in weird scenarios with nobody around them. Like, I'm not quite sure what Mickey's doing nowadays. I don't want to put Dallas's problems 100% on Mickey, but when Mickey's playing well and Mickey's doing what he needs to do as like a kind of enabler, Dallas would look good in the past, right? He would free up Taimu to do whatever he wanted. Maybe now Effects, because now that Effects is playing more of the carry champion pool, where Taimu is like the secondary carry, and he's protecting his supports. But from what we've been seeing, like in map 1, London versus Dallas, Prophet's Reaper was able to TP onto high ground and like walk from high ground on point A onto the supports and kill both of them. And if a Reaper can just like shadow step and then just walk up to both of your supports and nobody turns around to like deal with him, that's a huge problem.
Yeah.
I don't know where Mickey was. I don't know what Mickey's doing right now. Mickey's not having a good performance. And so I think it's unfair to say that like it's a lot of out of game stuff affecting them when their in game has been looking very poor, considering how good they've been recently or in the past.
Do you think it's a problem of communication on some level, or what do you think is going wrong?
That's the thing. It's really it's kind of difficult to say it's communication, because like this is the classic NB roster.
Right, they've played together for a while now, so
maybe Right. Well, that's Seoul, and that's also the Gladiators. Yeah. No offense to them.
Oh,
No, hey, it's Seoul. Like, honestly, I think the Gladiators are. I like the Gladiators moves a little bit more personally. I think the way that the way they've been rotating their DPS core out in and out is really nice. I like because you have Asher is a really solid tracer who can do other stuff and can play other dive, uh, or like aggressive flanking heroes. And then Hydration and Surefour have these really wacky champion pools that they're both really good at, and they can flex onto a bunch of different stuff. And they this is the only team that consistently runs triple DPS on some maps, and it works, right? Um, but returning to Dallas because I think that's the issue. I there's Dallas has always been a hit or miss team, and usually they were just better than other teams mechanically, so they were just able to get away with like whatever they wanted. But like this is Overwatch League, right? They don't have a solid Genji player, and I know Siegel plays Genji, but if you put like yeah, exactly, and not just that though, like I think Coco this meta has been suffering because aggressive Orisa play and aggressive Winston play is being rewarded, whereas he can't be Reinhardt, and Reinhardt's his best hero by far, I think, which is an issue. Mickey's Diva has been looking suspect, and that's a problem because Mickey is Diva, and he doesn't play anything else on this team. There's a better Zarya in Effect, there's a better Roadhog in Taimu. When XQC decides to get his life together, they have a better Orisa in him. So I think Mickey's right now is really.
You said that like it's something that's ever gonna.
No, but he's a fantastic Orisa. But I'm going to highlight Mickey as a source, not the source of Dallas' problems, but he's the one who has been performing the worst from what I've seen. No.
I don't think XQ's the whole problem.
Yeah, no, everybody's tunneling so hard in XQC. XQC doesn't matter what main tank they play when their diva isn't doing anything. It doesn't matter what XQ the XQC problem is so blown up by everybody. They need to like open your eyes and watch the game. You know, look at how they're doing. They got 4-0'd by Houston, and this is a roster that should not be losing 4-0. The Dallas roster, regardless of which tank they field, should be able to take a map, but they're not. They haven't. They looked their best against London when they had their classic roster, right?
Yeah.
And London has been struggling too, which we might get to. I don't know, but like.
Well, do you think there's a reason they're not playing the classic Envy roster as often, or do you think that's just like a pocket pick for them?
Hero pool. It's always comes back to hero pool because Effect is basically Taimu but with a tracer, and Taimu is basically Effect but with a Roadhog. But they still don't have any projectile specialists. Like Taimu's Junkrat's okay, but he's not a Genji god. Effect's not a Genji god. Like they have some projectile heroes in their respective pools, but they don't have the flexibility that other DPS cores in this league do. And Siegel's not on that level right now. You want to repeat all that after you unmute your mic for stream?
Fantastic.
Okay. All right.
Did I mute myself, or have I been muted this whole time?
We can hear you. The stream can't hear you.
I don't know if that's going to be in the recording either. Well, that's fantastic. So,
all right, cool.
I hope there are some really good lip readers out there.
I'm glad everybody agrees that I'm right, and we're gonna move on with the
Well, we have we have Noah's opinion, and the other guy's not really talking. He's just kind of moving his mouth at him.
He's moving his mouth, but he's not really saying much.
Fantastic. Okay, moving on. Sorry for anybody who missed out on all of that. I don't know how that got muted. I muted the webcam mic. I'm not quite sure what's going on there. Changing the map.
You mean changing the
order?
order?
Changing the map order.
I love it. I love it. I love a series that begins with draws. This is not being facetious. I legitimately love it. 3-game series are hype, especially when they're all different game modes.
Because Nimbani is like the one that almost always ends in the draw just because of how difficult it is to push on it. And I'd much rather see that than Junkertown, where it's just like usually a blow up one way or the other.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or
and Junkertown's a better series ender.
Well, yeah, because at the same time, like, can you imagine if the what was it, Valiant, Dallas, like 8-point, or what was it, like 9-8 or 8-10 or whatever,
like that.
whatever high score was, like
8-7.
that as a series ender would have been really good, because it was, I mean, granted, it was terrible play, it was just all offense, no defense.
It was the most garbage Overwatch I've ever seen.
It was the most Junkertown thing ever, but that would have been a killer ending because it was back and forth. Oh my God, who's going to win? And then, finally one team, makes the final stop needed. And but yeah, I think it's a good change. I hope that they change, because I know Stage 2 is already in place with the other half of the maps that we're not using. So I hope that in Stage 3 maybe we get a new pot. And it's not just the same, like...
I hope for Blizzard World in the pot.
Oh, God.
Well, I mean, considering that Blizzard World's not going to be in comp until Season 9, and Season 8 just started, like, 2 weeks ago, so...
Hell no. I don't want to see covering Blizzard World for the first time live on...
I want to see them ride the Flight to Duskwood. That's what I want.
It's such a... Oh, my God. All right.
Now that we're here, we brought it up. Look,
I brought it
it's
up.
a new map. Noah, you seem like you have some thoughts on it.
Not giving shit about the map. It's like
it's a new map.
Yeah, it's okay. Whatever. Like,
I don't like it.
No,
like for a competitive scenario, not really. Like
it's very choked.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Defense
has a huge advantage on point A.
They do.
That's every map ever before people figure out the strats.
Well, I mean, that's the same way with
Iconwall was like that when it first came out too.
And then they had to actually change Iconwall.
But yeah, they did. They had the second entrance.
And then once like a meta kind of got situated, or like it was just like, hey, if you're getting spammed at choke, somebody switch fair and spam over buildings because you can't get hit. You'll do shit.
I've heard a couple Pharaoh players really like the map because there's so much shit to hide behind.
Yeah, there's like the statue right in front of like the flight area, and you can kind of just peek around that.
Yeah, and good Pharaoh maps. That's a bad point, but it's also a pretty decent Doomfist map from what I've seen, and from my experimentation, there's a lot of places you can perch up and then drop on people. And this might just be like nobody knows where to look yet. I think
will say about the advantage that defense has on point A, like it is kind of flip flopped once you get to the escort portion, where offense definitely has the advantage moving to the second checkpoint, and probably really even the third and final checkpoint as well.
I think it's a new map, and once a meta for that map gets established, then I'll feel free to complain about it. But for now, I can play whatever I want because nobody knows what they're doing on it. So it's like whatever.
Sure.
I do think we're going to see... Yeah, let's talk about Houston. Let's move on.
Yeah, so Houston on the other side of Texas, we have the Houston Outlaws who rose
other side of Texas, aka like 20 a couple of miles south.
The other, they're
definitely they're not even crosstown. They're ways away from each other. Dallas and Houston.
It's it's not like Dallas to El Paso.
It's close.
Not Dallas to San Antonio.
whatever the distance is, they are Dallas.
You can make the trip in
They are Texas rivals.
All right, whatever.
And Houston beat Dallas 4-0, and they're now 5th in our rankings, whereas they were 9th last week. Noah,
5th in your rankings.
Noah,
so
go
mad.
for it. This is the
On what
new
planet-
H2K made it to semifinals
On what planet?
2016.
On what planet is Houston the 5th best team in Overwatch League this week?
The real planet we live on.
No, they have it. Is it because they had a 2-0 record?
Because that's what happened. They beat Dallas.
They played Shanghai and Dallas. Those are the weakest 2 teams in the league right now.
Whoa, I think Dallas could beat Florida.
Maybe. Okay, they beat the worst team.
Also, just so that everybody is clear, Noah put Dallas as 8, and we all put, he put Houston at, well, actually, no, he put Houston at 6. So, like, we're literally arguing about a 1-spot difference. We all said 5. He said 6, and he's acting like he had them at 12. And we were like, they're the 5th best team. One spot.
Okay. Here's my issue, though. They weren't the 5th best team this weekend, right? I think, obviously, all 3 Korean teams played out of their mind. They 2-0'd, because they're all really good. London looked scary for a while. I will admit that, but I think they have the depth on their roster, and they have so much going for them that it's hard to see New York beating them consistently. Or I think it's like a 60-40 matchup in London's favor, at least in my mind right now. Los Angeles Valiant lost this week to tough competition. To very tough competition, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they still put up a fight. They still try to do their stuff. So I can't drop them too low. But to say that Houston was the 5th best team this week is ridiculous to me. Because they didn't have any. They had no competition. They who they fight against? Who matters, right? And you're gonna say Dallas, and I'm gonna rebut with they're 0-3. We have to stop, or they're 0-4. We can't consider them a top team when they're 0-4. This is a mid-tier Dallas. We all have to live in that world where beating Dallas right now is not as much of an accomplishment as people think. They're sure they're top 12 in the world, but that's Overwatch League, right?
If you had them at 9 or 8 or something, I would hear your argument. But I really don't understand being this passionate about.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the only thing.
Because my issue is they lost to Philly, right? And
sure,
they lost to Florida.
Yeah, they lost to Philly, and who else did they lose to? Who else did Houston lose to in their 0-2 week?
Philly and
probably
New York
New
Excelsior.
York.
New York.
It was Excelsior.
Yeah, New York. Okay. So a team that loses to New York and Philly isn't the second best team in the league, because I don't think Philly is necessary. I have Philly in 5th because I believe in their roster, and I think their weird losses aside, Gladiators made a super huge clutch, and I think as time goes on and Froggy gets more comfortable with that Philly roster and he stops feeding at the beginning of every goddamn fight, Philly's gonna be scary come post game or postseason, right?
Sure.
And it's just my problem with rating Houston that high is that they're going to drop again because you're going to face real teams this week.
Right, they absolutely will drop again. Nobody's contesting them.
But
these are week-to-week rankings. How did this team look this week?
They weren't the 5th best team to me this week, but
but you say that, but Philly barely beat the Shock 2-1, and that's the Shock.
Hey, the Shock had an up week.
And then they lost to the Gladiators. So,
Gladiators had an up week. What do you
want? For this, so that's what I'm saying. But for this week, how can you say that a team that barely beat San Francisco and then lost to the Gladiators?
Not only did they lose to the Gladiators, they got reverse swept, which shows that they had a chokehold on this game, and they blew it.
Okay,
yeah. So it's
in my mind, there's a big difference between 5th and 6th. 5th is knocking on the door of the top on the top tier, right? 6th is decidedly middle of the pack.
Sure, and
you're a better middle of the pack team. Looking back at my rankings, I honestly want to put Houston lower, but I can't because they went 2-0.
Sure.
But I think Los Angeles Gladiators had a much better weekend than Houston did in terms of what Los Angeles showed us. I think San Francisco had a fantastic weekend, even though they lost. They only went 1-1. But what I'm trying to say, why I'm so upset with putting Houston as 5th, is that Houston didn't play the 5th best Overwatch. Maybe they had the easiest schedule and they survived, right? And I don't agree with how how people, not just us, right, but other teams are like other analysts, other people who watch Overwatch League are rewarding Houston and saying, "Oh, look, they're back." It's like, no, they just had an easy weekend. They had a free weekend. Wait until next week when they have actual competition. I'm not sold on Houston, and I think people are going to be disappointed again. And it's going to be they're going to start an emotion. Fans are going to start an emotional roller coaster for Houston when they're a mid-tier team at best.
Sure, I don't
I mean,
think,
but
That's why I'm upset.
that's fandom though. Like that's that's what happens. Teams
But we're analysts, and we should know better.
Well,
You go up and down.
these are week to week rankings for me. So like this week, to me, yeah, Houston did play the 5th best Overwatch. Like we know that Dallas is a talented team despite the way that they are playing right now, and Houston creamed them. Like it doesn't matter if they had an up week, if they had a down week. To me, they played the 5th best Overwatch in the league this week.
This right now, Dallas Fuel would lose to Envy. Any Envy throughout the history of Envy, except Apex Season 1 before Mickey joined the roster. Any argument?
Not
I
really.
mean, they would have to bring it out.
But like
Because
for
they haven't
me,
been lately.
and like you'll see that like that was one of the reasons like I have the Gladiators right beneath them. Like I think the Gladiators played it tight.
Yeah,
And then
I think the Gladiators showed a lot. I am more comfortable giving Gladiators a nod than I am.
And that was a tough. That was a tough
So if we
decision.
put Gladiators at 5, you wouldn't have been putting Houston.
I would have agreed.
It was a tough decision for me to not put the Gladiators at 5. I will say that. Like that was possibly the most difficult
I just
positioning on that roster this week.
I just think like people are the way storylines are being constructed right now are just like people are ignoring strength of schedule. And it's like you can't do that. You can't do that.
Well, I mean, I don't think that you can ignore strength of schedule either, but I mean like to me Dallas is at least talented. Like and Houston destroyed
San Francisco's talented.
Sure.
But I feel like Dallas is more.
Shanghai hypothetically is talented.
But I feel like we're really like not giving. And I realize they've done nothing to deserve a benefit of the doubt, but like Dallas still has the pieces to be good. That's like saying, okay, the Seahawks are pretty fucking terrible this year, but they're still the Seahawks. They still have a good foundation. They can still pop off. Same with the Saints or whatever. Insert sports team here. But Shanghai is Shanghai. Like that's
they suck as a team. They suck as a team, but individually I can absolutely compare them. Shanghai as a team. Shanghai as a team are individually talented. The players are individually talented, right? Probably.
But I'm not talking about the players being individually talented. Like we have
Well,
seen...
when you say Dallas has potential, what are we talking about? Are we talking about
all
the players are all our superstars, or are we saying they have this team-wide cohesion? Except they don't have it right now.
But you don't have to say either of those things. Look, so like in the first week when we saw Dallas match up against Seoul, that was a decent game. Like Dallas played them close on a lot of maps. They played the Valiant close on a lot of maps. Both of those teams are top 3 easily. And Dallas played them close. Yes, and then week 2 happened. And that's why they're down at 8th right now. But we know that Dallas has the tools to get the job done. And we've seen them come close. Which is why I'm giving Houston props for beating that team. Granted, we know that they are in a slide. That is why we put them at 8th. But again, these are week-to-week rankings. I'm in no way denying that Houston is not going to be in sniffing distance of top 5 next week. No, it's not happening unless they come up big.
But like, I feel like with Dallas, like, okay, looking at this, like, okay, the Florida Mayhem, I could not see them getting out of the basement of this league because I just don't think they're that good.
Yeah, their peak is 10th or
9th. So I'm saying, but with the Fuel. Like, yes, they're at 8th right now, but I could see them in 3 weeks being at 4. If they can get their shit together.
That's a drastic. It has to start. Like, okay, for that scenario, specific scenario, it has to start. What do they play this week? What is the first time they play?
Friday.
It has to start Friday. This week,
I mean, Florida and they play the Gladiators. Houston does.
Okay.
Yeah, and Dallas plays the Shock.
So Houston has a free Mayhem, and then I expect Los Angeles to beat Houston. But for Dallas, they're against Uprising and Shock. If they lose those games, we have to accept that this is not a top-tier team.
Oh, no, yeah, that's fair. But I'm just saying, at this point in time, I can see Dallas getting their shit together more than I can see any other team. Like, I think we still have to just...
Of every team that's like bottom of the pack,
That's-
bottom tier right now.
Yeah,
And
like the
Dallas-
people that are
Dallas,
in that.
Dallas is easily the best bottom tier team, but like bottom tier still. And when Envy has problems, those problems are huge, right? Historically, when they have an issue, they get fucking shredded, and it doesn't matter how good they are, they get obliterated, and no amount of carrying from effect will change it. We saw it in Apex Season 3 playoffs when they got dismantled in third, fourth place match after getting shredded by, I think, Luxury Watch Blue. Envy got dropped on its neck in Season 2 when it came.
Drop
When it
on
came
his neck. Damn, that's a very
in playoffs. Like when the classic Envy roster had problems, they were exploited really hard, and like they looked like jokes. And then they would go on losing streaks for a while, and then they would come back to NA, and then they would kick ass again, and then they'd be like, okay, never mind, Envy's top tier. But like they can't come back to NA anymore. It's Overwatch League now, right? Like they can't just come shit on like Kungarna and FNR GFE and make themselves feel better. They don't have that option anymore. So as a fan, like I've been a lifelong fan of this team. This is the toughest league they've ever been in, and it pains me to say it, but I'm not sure how they bounce back other than beating some bad teams.
Sure.
But if you lose to the teams that are like accepted as decent and beat the bad teams, you're a mediocre team, and that's not a top team. And Dallas has potential, but we have to be prepared to live in a world where they are a mid-tier team, like a middle of the pack team. That's all
I mean, that's true, but I mean, and good for them though. They've got most of the bad matchups out the way. All they have left, really, of the really huge gargantuan matchups is New York. They've already gotten
Saviolbi versus et al. Round 2.
Yeah, so I mean, like, you know, if they go 5-1 over the next 3 weeks, like that could be enough to squeak into the playoffs. Who knows?
Hell no. It's like
It's
the
so
stage
bad.
one. Yeah, stage 1 playoffs are only 4 teams, right?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah,
4?
that's
Oh,
only
shit,
14, so they're
never mind.
not going to be able to crack the top 4.
Yeah, like
Is it only
they're-
4? Damn.
Yeah.
They're in the stage playoffs, not like the overall league playoffs.
No, 16 qualifier playoffs.
For
Yeah,
For the
top
state?
seed from each round, and then the next 4 teams, regardless of
yeah,
division.
that's for the overall. That's for the overall.
No, I think that's for each stage.
No.
It says playoffs, so
Yeah, there's the overall players, so we have 3 stages, and then the top 2 from each stage.
do the
go.
record. Oh, the records transfer from
Stage
stage to
1.
stage.
Yeah, stage 1 title. Yeah, they hold over. I think stage 1 title matches are 2 matches on
Yeah.
Saturday, February the 10th.
Oh shit. Okay.
So like they're not gonna make it to playoffs.
So
Like,
yeah, they won't make
it
it
is-
to
yeah, they won't make it to stage 1.
this stage. Yeah.
Yeah, they won't make it to stage 1. And I don't know. I think people are overhyping them too much, and they have to. It's for me. Dallas has to re-earn its respect.
And they'll only be able to do that in stage 2, though. I mean.
Yeah.
You're.
You already want to get
Yeah.
to some of the top 4, and you already lost like hard. So
When are mid-season pickups? Like
probably
if they-
mid-season.
Can that happen like at any time? Like could they go out and sign some players, or
Who?
like is there like a roster lock?
Who would you sign? At some point, yeah, they can go sign.
I mean,
players,
I'm just
who?
speaking hypothetically because like I'm thinking ahead of like they have to get their shit together in stage 2
Two.
because by stage 3 there are going to be players coming into this league for some of the shittier teams who are then going to start to rise.
I think, to be fair, I don't think adding players, the shitty teams adding players, apart from Shanghai, will change anything.
You don't think that Sinatra and what's his face coming to the Shock won't improve?
Super.
Yeah.
I think they'll be a better team, but I think every other team will be better as well.
Right, but I
everyone's
mean, like,
constantly growing.
if we're talking about Dallas being a mid to low tier team at the way that they're playing now, what's going to happen when San Francisco actually has competent players at DPS?
Well, in the world where Dallas gets their shit together, then Dallas still shits on them because
Sure.
when Envy had their shit together, they could beat anybody in the world.
Right, but I mean, then you also have like, it's not like I don't know. Flower can't join this year, right? His birthday
No.
falls just short. doesn't
But
it?
like in the meantime, you have Libero, Pine, and Sabilby. That's a god
I
tier
mean,
DPS.
sure.
God tier DPS core. And anybody who says otherwise is insane because Libero is a god. And if you don't think Libero is a god, you need to watch carefully. It's just my boy right there, the May strats.
But I mean, if there's any teams bringing in talent, like I think that if Dallas doesn't figure out what's going on and fix it, I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, for sure. But like they're in trouble already. Let's stop talking about Dallas. I'm tired of Dallas.
All right, well, I think we're getting close, so we should.
Any other gripes you have with the power rankings, Noah?
I feel like they should just be what I say, but it's obviously not gonna happen.
I do.
Yeah, well-
I will say, like, I wish I do want to try and figure out a format to use the website in a way where at the bottom of the group power rankings that are averaged out, that we can show all of the individual power rankings, so that way people can kind of figure out, outside of watching this show, it's kind of like, oh, well, this is this writer's opinion I find myself agreeing with more, or like this person, like I find has the most accurate rankings when it comes to whatever. I don't know.
Just put it on Twitter if you care.
If somebody
That-
gave me the HTML for putting a table, but
I
have
can.
to-
We'll talk.
Website design live podcast.
Yeah,
There we go.
I can do that.
but okay, I think it's time to. Is there any other teams we want to touch on before we go into our week 3 predictions?
Predictions will lead to us talking about teams.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right, so we've already got these down in the thing in our document, but we'll go ahead and still go through these live for you guys. So starting today, up first we've got the San Francisco Shock versus the London Spitfire, in a match
This
that
is
I think
unanimous.
we'd all be surprised if London does not come out on
Yeah,
top.
we're mostly. This is I feel like this is kind of going to be a bit of a boring week, except for like a handful of matches, just because looking at these predictions,
There's
I think
only
that
one.
there-
There's
there's
only
like-
one. There's only one series where we
Yeah,
didn't
yeah, yeah.
all predict.
are you sure? No, there's two.
Yeah.
There's two. There's two.
Oh yeah.
No, there might be three. I'm looking for.
Let's cross those bridges when we get to
Yeah.
it. And London's gonna beat San Francisco because London will beat San Francisco.
Yeah, London will beat San Francisco. Seoul Dynasty will need to just leave the country if they lose to the Dragons.
Yeah, they have to swim home.
Yeah,
Yep.
the only way Seoul loses to Shanghai is if they don't show up.
Yep, basically. Like the only way they even drop a map is like.
Wait, hold up. Let's not get carried away here. This is like, what if Shanghai gets it together this week, and what if they're just really scary?
How?
There is a dude on Reddit who said that if Shanghai takes one map off of Seoul, he will buy every single Shanghai Dragon.
Oh,
you
he
guys
said
ever-
one map. I thought he meant the whole series.
No.
No.
Do you remember
Oh my
preseason
God.
when it was close?
That was
That's what I'm saying.
preseason, where they
Yeah,
had to
but, like-
play everybody. Everybody had to get a
What if
participation of it.
Shanghai isn't that worse mechanically? It's just like they don't have their shit together. What if they get their shit together?
Or what if they play really well
They
against
won't.
Koreans?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm still expecting a 4-0 for Seoul. Don't get me wrong, but like, let's.
So do we all just quit if Shanghai wins?
No,
I
I
think-
say I told you so, even though I didn't.
Oh my God! I say I told you so. Even though you have Seoul at down as
Seoul
winning.
4-0,
too.
yeah. No, I'm just saying.
I told
like,
you so. Even though I
the
thought
more
Seoul was going to
people
win
shit on
4-0.
Shanghai, the more surprised people will be when that team, if that team.
No,
If-
honestly, if Shanghai somehow wins at least a map, or if God forbid, if they somehow win the series, I will fucking run up and down my apartment building saying "Dragons, like, because holy shit.
Dude,
That would be
so
huge
okay,
for them.
so I think it was Tyler, the writer for ESPN. I think he said he would get a Shanghai Dragons tattoo if they finished top 4 in the league.
Yeah.
I've never wanted a team to just explode more. Because
Hey, maybe stage 2.
he had the audacity to tag Shanghai in that tweet.
Did he
Be like-
really?
Yeah, he tagged
Of
him in
course,
the tweet,
Shanghai grabbed onto that too.
and he was like, "I feel pretty safe," and I was just like, "Wow."
God, I can't wait if that happens. Stage
How
2,
about-
you never know, man.
How about the battle for LA?
Battle for LA.
I put Valiant. I think we all kind of agree Valiant, but I think it'll
It's
still
going
be an
to be
interesting
close.
matchup.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, no, it'll
very
be close. It'll be close.
I
think
could
it'll be a
imagine
3-2.
Gladiators like at least tying this 2-2. That's not outside the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
What if they find a way to tie the King of the Hill map? They break the game.
I'd love to see it. But yeah, I think we've got Valiant across the board, but it should be close.
Yeah.
And then Thursday, we've got up first Boston Uprising versus the London Spitfire.
London, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming, Boston. London, congratulations on the 2-0 week. Go back to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a quick work week for the London Spitfire. And then pretty much kind of the same deal with the Excelsior versus Fusion.
I think that'll at least be exciting. Like,
true.
You at least have the city story going on there too, but I still see this going to New York.
Of course, I mean, like, I don't know who's gonna say that Philly's gonna beat New York. I mean, like, obviously anything's possible, but I still think New York takes this 3-1.
Here's what I will say. I think the gap between the New York DPS duo and the Philly DPS duo is smaller than people think.
I would agree.
And then the gap in every other position is much larger than everybody else thinks.
I would agree that
that's
the
why
DPS duo is they're comparable.
Relatively close. Yeah. And then, but do you disagree with the supports and tanks are light years better on New York than?
No, yeah.
Okay, yeah. They're. That's why Korean teams are the best, by the way. It's not because they have the best. They do have the best DPS. They also have the best at every other position, right? Like the tanks and the supports know how to set the carries up to pop off.
Yeah.
Like every time you see Flutta get like a quad kill or something cool, it's like, wow, Flutta's amazing. It's because nobody's looking at him because the supports are busy 1v1ing the people on the ground, or it's because the tanks are like occupying space and creating space. Like, creates are nuts.
Houston and Florida. I actually think this will be a lot closer than everybody is anticipating. Like, I still think Houston's gonna win, but again, kind of with the idea of, we know Florida is a talented team, even though unfortunately there's only 6 of them, and so they're stuck with the hero pool they have, and if they feel like they need to make any changes, they can't.
Logix is going to get shit on by Lancer really hard in the hitscan fights, and then Logix is going to tilt, and then it's going to be Tavik versus the world, and Tavik cannot beat the world.
I still think it's going to be closer than people think. Like, I don't anticipate Houston being like, boom, 4-0.
I think it's going to be a 4-0. I think it's going to be a 4-0, but I think the maps are going to be close. And it's going to play into that. Wow, Houston, they tough, hard fought 4-0, but they deserve that win. God, golly gee, they're so good. And it's going to play into that storyline. I'm going to pull my hair out.
Salty. They beat Dallas Field.
I'm not even salty they beat Dallas. I'm salty people think they're like god tier. Like, no, they're not.
Well,
they're so not comparable
They're not,
to like
but-
anybody above them. To even set teams below them.
So
Moving on.
Best matchup of the week, and I think this is our first discrepancy because we have a New Yorker.
We have a homer in
I
in
did
our
this.
presence.
I'll admit this. I did this to be contrarian, but
We all pick Seoul except for Christian, who picks New York.
yeah.
This is kind of like where the rubber meets the road, especially for Noah, because Noah has been saying all along that, while Excelsior is definitely a top 3 team, he's not necessarily impressed by like their level of discipline and organization.
Hey, they have been improving. They have definitely improved.
Well, now they get to come up against the best of the best.
Right.
So,
right. And they're gonna lose. But like,
this is where they have to prove that. This is where they have to like bring everything together. They have to bring the absolute best to this.
I'm gonna say why I think New York's gonna lose. And I will say it's going to be a close series, I think. Maybe 2-1, maybe 3-2, maybe a 3-1, but like hard fought maps. I think New York's ult economy management isn't as good as Seoul. I think New York tends to blow a lot. They blow their load quite often, and it's kind of, you can't make those kind of mistakes against a team like Seoul. I think their hero pool between say Bilby and Pine pigeonholes them into certain kind of comps, whereas Soul can play anything under the sun, right? And
Yeah.
they might have been practicing some anti-Pine strats or something. I think also the New York tank line, well, good. I don't know if they can do enough to allow the DPS of New York to excel, no pun intended, while Soul's tank line is way better at setting up Fleta and co for success, right? Most of the time when we see New York DPS pop off, they're by themselves. They're making big solo plays, these huge mechanical outplays, and you don't get to do that much against a guy like Fleta. You can pop off and against the Houston Outlaws if you're Pine, you don't get to do that against Soul. That's why I think New York will lose, but it's close, definitely close.
And then next series after that, we've got Shanghai versus Philadelphia, and I think this one will be closer than the Shanghai Seoul series, but I think Philly is
a 4-0 is a 4-0, Wyatt. A 4-0 is a 4-0.
And Dallas and San Francisco Shock closing out the day on Friday.
Is anybody else worried, like really worried, that Dallas is going to lose to San Francisco?
No, because I detached my emotional connection to this team when they became Dallas.
I just don't want to live in the world where this team is like that bad. I'm holding out hope so much for them to
They haven't shown
show up. I mean, they haven't. No, they haven't.
I feel like they're entering this match as the underdogs.
I don't know if I would say they're entering this match as the underdog, but I definitely say it's dead even.
Which of these teams has won more than 2 maps? Not even games, 2 maps this season.
I mean, as you admitted too, they got through all the hard games. This should be one of the easier ones, right?
Yeah,
even
sure.
against San Francisco.
They are the underdogs, though. They have to prove it. It's the impetus is on them. It's not on San Francisco. We know what San Francisco brings to the table.
Yeah.
We still don't know what Dallas is doing.
So, let's see. This next one we're all agreeing
Everyone
on, except
here.
for, Liam, who was on the show last week in place of Christian, has said that Boston will be winning.
Did he give a particular
Dallas.
reason for that?
He's from Boston, or he's from
Okay,
Mass.
so it's like me.
Oh no, he's from Connecticut. He's a Yankee, whatever.
He's
Okay.
a New Englander.
We call yeah.
I mean, Grant, if Boston shows up,
But
If
like
the
they show up doing one thing.
but like Dallas sometimes doesn't show up doing anything, so one
Sure.
thing could beat 0. So I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
but
I think
Dallas.
Dallas has the tools to disassemble whatever, or to disassemble the only plan that Boston has.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Yeah.
And then the Valiant against the Mayhem should be pretty one-sided.
Yeah.
And then this is where we've got a little bit of disagreement within the group. Gladiators versus
we're half
Outlaws.
and half.
I mean, I know, of course, we know what Noah is going to say because he's been harping on this the entire time. Houston's not that good.
They're not.
So I'm sure you know where his allegiance will be thrown in this series.
Hell yeah.
And then, but I think Travis. I mean, you said you were pretty close to putting the Gladiators at 5 as well. So
I
I can
was.
see
That was
why you go
definitely
for them.
that was the hardest decision I had to make on my power rankings. Was is Houston 5 or is Gladiators 5? Because I mean, their reverse sweep of a talented team like Philly was incredibly convincing. At their ability to maintain, like, I don't even know. I guess their mental calm in the face of pretty much being ready to be out. So I like the Gladiators here. I think they're a really scrappy team, and I think that, you know, I don't want to agree with Noah because I feel like to him it will further validate his earlier point in his mind, but it gets like. I mean, I did say earlier that, yeah, Houston's definitely, you know, going down the rankings.
Oh no, I'll be right. Like,
We have a
Like-
hard enough time managing your ego as is.
Okay, let's go through this position by position, right? DPS, talented DPS on both sides. I think I narrowly give the edge to Houston, simply because Linkser, right? Linkser is a great talent. He commands respect, and he can take pressure off of Jake, so Jake can get comfortable and do whatever he needs to do, usually on Junkrat, stuff like that. Although, you look on the other side, Asher, if he stops playing that weird long flank style, or if he gets a couple of long flanks that work, who cares? You know? Like, it's not how you're supposed to do it, but like, hey, if it works, you take it. Then we look at the tank line. And Coolmat and Muma is a solid tank line. iRemix and Bishu is also a solid tank line. I think the Houston tank line has a slight edge, but only slight. Then you look at the supports. Shaz and Big Goose are immensely talented. Bonnie and Raucus are like, okay. And I think Gladiators have the edge there.
I would
All
give
that
the Gladiators the edge in the tank line. I think.
Wow, really?
I think Muma and Coolmat are good, but I think that
They haven't been winning maps.
I think that iRemix is heavily underrated, personally.
Okay, fair enough. I also just think, like, Muma and Coolmat haven't been winning maps. Like, that's the thing. Only the DPS on Houston seem to win maps for them. And that's why whenever they sub out Linkser, they look like a garbage team.
That's true.
Rip Clockwork. But, like, yeah. I think, overall, the Gladiators play a more complete package. They have a better overall style of playing Overwatch, and I think they have a lot of strategies that Houston might not be able to react to. Jake is good at, like, coming up with counters to stuff, and he's, like, a pretty smart player, so, like, they'll have at least something to do. They'll have at least, like, some mental fortitude in that regard. So, like, they won't be completely caught off guard by something. They'll be able to adapt to it. But I think the Gladiators being practiced on these things, whereas Houston will have to... Several players on Houston will have to have some of the best games of their OWL careers if they want to win this set.
I think, the reason that I give the edge to the Gladiators is kind of for one of the reasons that you stated is, I don't know if it's a secret, and if it is, it's not a well-kept secret, that Houston definitely does look like shit when they don't play with Linkser. And I think that what's going to happen is that the Gladiators are going to stand toe-to-toe with their best lineup, and I think they're going to try to make changes to get an edge, and then I think they're going to get rolled in that game where they swap out.
Something like that. All right.
Yep. But I think
Pro Houston, what do you guys say?
This might sound strange, but I still don't think Houston's been given enough credit. I think they're much more solid than you're giving them actual credit for. And I think they can edge this out. I still think this will be relatively close. I do not think this will be easy for them at all, but I think they can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, like I this is one of those series where I can see going either way. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Gladiators pull out a win, because they have been showing some pretty good signs of for this. Me and Travis are tied for of the people here, at least me and Travis are tied for fourth place, or I guess third place technically.
I don't think we're even tied. I think you're ahead of me, aren't you?
Oh, that was just for last week. I wasn't looking at overall.
Yeah.
But for last week's picks, at least, me and Travis were both at 8 and 4. Noah was at 9 and 3, and Christian was sitting pretty atop with a 10 and 2. And he was 11 and 1 in week 1. So Christian is definitely owning the pack so far. So GG's to Christian.
My strange predictions. I mean, next week's people. I think. I hope I'm still in the lead. I think I don't think I will be. I will be in the lead. That's how you have to go over this.
Yeah, there you go.
You can't
You gotta be
really-
confident.
You have to do.
Confidence wins
close.
championships.
Yeah, exactly.
They've been close. I don't think. So I think Noah can take the lead away from you if you are wrong on your Boston and Houston picks,
Yeah.
or at least tie you. I think he will tie you in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
something like
Christian's up by, what, 2 right now?
I think so. Because I'm sitting
whatever.
at the bottom at 16 and 8,
I'm up
and
by
then
1.
it's Wyatt at 17 and 7, Lord Wyatt. And,
There it is.
That's right. Get it straight.
Noah's at 19 and 5, and then Christian's at
You
the
have
top
so
at
much hair.
21
Yeah.
and 3.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of Lord, before we get out of here, because Overwatch League
It's just
up
starting.
right now.
And COD
Um,
started a while ago
before-
because they're
before we
terrible
get outta here,
schedules.
Christian, would you or does anybody want to make a Lord bet with Christian on this Dynasty New York Excelsior series? Because he has fallen on the sword of the Excelsior. So Christian, do you want to make that Lord? Like, do you want to make a Lord bet number 1, and then number 2 we can figure out who you want to make it with?
I'll take a Lord bet, and I'll put it out there for anybody else to take that. I think New York
no.
Excelsior would take it against Steel Dynasty.
How about we all just do a Lord bet? So that way, if he loses, he has to call
Everyone,
next week on the podcast.
I'll
no,
take it, I
that's
believe. I
that's
make my
cool.
memes.
That's pretty intense, yes.
Travis, why don't you do it? You already lost 2 of these. You gotta get on the board at some point, right?
I'm even though it's Soul, I'm a little scared. I'm 0-2 in 2 weeks. I really don't
let
want.
Dreams,
I
guys.
don't need New York to pull up a huge upset, and then I'm stuck with Lord Christian next week.
You'll be stuck with everybody else too, though.
True.
Then I'll take it. Then if you don't want to,
Alright.
I'll take the Lord bet. So we'll do that.
The Lord bet of the week. Feels
So
good,
yeah,
man.
that's our Lord bet, and that's gonna do it for us this week. As always, I'm your host. You can find me at Mr. Don on Twitter. If you want to talk about Overwatch League, League of Legends, anything you want, you can talk to me. And then I guess we'll go clockwise for me. So that would be Noah. You are next. Go ahead and sign out.
Are we live? You guys can find me at You guys can find me at RW_Noah Walliser. I'll usually right now I'm gonna be brushing my hair for the next hour and a half. But usually I'm around to talk about Overwatch League, League of Legends, whatever suits you fancy.
And then Travis.
Yeah, I guess that's me. Everybody's Twitter handles are obviously on here. Mine is beneath my name. Thank you for everybody who called out in chat that there was no sound.
Travis hates the audio listeners.
Yeah, apparently. And apparently when I was doing some math, I accidentally muted the stream, so we're gonna have to get that fixed. We'll fix it in post, maybe. I don't know
Fix it
how
in
that's
post.
gonna work. But yeah, you can find me at Rafi Dota. You can talk to me about Dota stuff. You can talk to me about Overwatch stuff or anything else that might suit your fancy. I'm a pretty friendly person. I'll talk to you about anything.
He's just saying, please talk to me.
Please.
Oh, boy.
You can find me at Games Cutlick on Twitter. Also, I'll be doing a podcast with Joe, I guess. I was going to call him
Overlord
Boss. Overlord Joe.
Overlord
Hi,
Joe.
Lord Joe. And Joe and I will be doing a
Shanghai
podcast
Joe.
tomorrow to talk about Call of Duty. Because we didn't do one last week, and he was unavailable this week too. So him and I will do a special podcast tomorrow, mainly to talk about how Stage 1 is going and talk probably a little bit about New Orleans.
What?
Yep.
Where?
New Orleans. Everybody. That's after
Yeah,
having
there you go.
lived in New Orleans for 2 years. When all of the keep saying New Orleans,
That's actually
it's so
my trigger.
triggering. It's so triggering. And I'm not even from there, and it triggers me.
As soon as I hear it, like the New Orleans, I'm just like, boy, like I reach my.
Oh,
It's a I don't know why it affects me so, but it does.
How do you feel
Mad.
about the seldom group of people that say New Orleans?
I've never
They're
heard
locals.
that.
They're locals. If to mispronounce the word that hard, you have to be from.
Yeah, to go all the way around past just like a small mispronunciation, just
Yeah,
to
it's like how
throw
in the
all the
South,
weird shit
umbrella
in.
has like 5 syllables.
Umbrella.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But okay,
Yeah.
that's gonna do it for us. So
Well,
yeah,
good talk.
keep an eye on
Bye.
our Twitter for the time for tomorrow. I'm not sure what time they're doing the Call of Duty, but be that, and we'll be back next week at a normal time of 5 p.m. Eastern. Go watch Overwatch League, and have a good time. We'll see you guys next week.
Have a good night.